Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt. I am the AmeriCanadian gamer, and for the past few days, Valve has been discussing a very big update that they're doing for Team Fortress 2, which is going to include a lot of map changes and apparently a whole list of patch notes that is going to just be the longest they've ever done. Apparently, it's going to be a very, very big update. Like I said, there's going to be map rebalances, there's going to be new maps added, a new game mode, and what I want to talk about today is they discussed some of the weapon tuning that is going to take place in Team Fortress 2. They're altering some of the weapons, rebalancing them, and they did give us a couple of examples of the weapons they're going to be changing. They didn't say all of them, but they did give us a couple of examples. And probably the most notable of these is that they're nerfing the Dead Ringer. Now, the Dead Ringer currently has an equip rate of 80% among spies, so that means 80% of all spies that have the Dead Ringer unlocked use the Dead Ringer because they believe it's the most viable option when compared to everything else, which the spy has a few options for his Inviswatch. So for the Dead Ringer to be used that much, it is a very good weapon, and they want to lower that rate a little bit so that other items get used more, and they think the Dead Ringer is just too powerful because so many people think it's viable, which I think is a very good way to look at it. I'm really happy that they're looking at this from a perspective of equip rates as opposed to the way people complain about things. Obviously, they take that into account, but I think the equip rates say more than any people on the forums will, because the forums tend to be very vocal minorities, because someone that's happy with the game, someone that enjoys the game, the way a game plays, is not going to go complain on the forums about it. They're not going to do anything about it because they're happy with it. But the people that want changes and are not satisfied with what the game has will go to the forums and complain. So listening to the forums is not generally the best idea. Looking at the equip rates is a very, very good way to put it, because if you can kind of balance the equip rates, that kind of means the items are more balanced because the people are equipping them at a roughly equal rates. And I think that's a really good way to look at it. So, the Dead Ringer's getting a nerf that I think is a very good nerf. After this update, any damage that you take after you activate your Dead Ringer will reduce the total duration of your cloak. So, any damage you take while your Dead Ringer is active will slowly reduce your cloak. It's almost like damage drains cloak directly, which is a really, really genius change that I never even thought of for the Dead Ringer. I was wondering different ways they could rebalance this weapon, and that's just absolute genius. So this means that if you can keep on a spy after he pops the Dead Ringer, then you could really just kind of force him to uncloak and kill him, especially if you're a pyro. If you're a pyro and the spy does not have a Dead Ringer, then your afterburn damage plus the damage you're trying to deal on him as he's running away is going to be just outright kill him, because it's going to force him to uncloak quicker, and then you can just burn him down where he stands. Or if you get Girardi or Milk on somebody, especially Girardi, being able to deal some mini crits to him as he's running away, it's going to make the Dead Ringer a lot more balanced, because it's going to make it so that spies that use it will have to have a higher skill cap in order to use it. Right now, people feel that the Dead Ringer is too easy for the spy to use and too hard to counter for the people that identify if the spy has a Dead Ringer, which is really easy to spot. Usually if a spy dies, he has a Dead Ringer. That's usually what it is, because it has an 80% equip rate. And with this, the spy is going to have to work a lot harder to really use the Dead Ringer effectively, and the people chasing him down that know where he's going, that know how to chase down, are going to have an easier time doing that, but they have to keep on him. You have to keep dealing damage to him. So I think this is going to be a very, very, very good change for the Dead Ringer. Now, the another item that they discussed was the Battalions backup, which is getting a buff, alternatively, because it is only being equipped by 15% of soldiers who have it. And I don't blame them at all, because the buff, or the Battalion's backup, I may say buff banner by accident, so excuse me. The Battalion's backup right now only builds its rage meter while you're taking damage. So you can only build it while taking damage, but to fill it up, you have to take more damage than you have health. So you have to go heal, you have to get medics, you have to use the black box, it works really well with it because it lets you heal back up, but it takes so long and it's so risky for what you get out of it, having the resistance to crits and damage. Compared to the other weapons, the Conqueror and the buff banner, it's just not as good. The Battalion's backup just isn't as good. So what they're doing now is they're going to change it so that it works more like the buff banner and the Conqueror, where it will build its rage off of damage you deal as opposed to damage you take, and also while it's active you'll get additional damage resistance. Now I like the Battalion's backup. I do wish it would charge a bit faster because there are times when you can charge into battle and you can not take crit damage, and when pyros are, it pretty much nullifies a pyro. Pyros can't extinguish you, they can't reserve shoot you, and they can't reflect your rockets for nearly as much damage as they used to. And there's a lot of different things that it does that I really like. So I think this change is going to be really positive, and you're going to see a lot more people running the Tank Buster set that gives them 20% bonus resistance to sentry damage, and it also forces them to use the black box. I think it's going to change a lot of good things for the soldier. I'm really excited to see this. I want to use the Battalion's backup more. I kind of liked it after I was using it to get footage for this video. So I think the Battalion's backup is going to be a really good item after this update. Not the best, but it's going to be definitely viable compared to what it is now. And finally, the very last thing that they decided to go over was how they're going to change how the polycount set bonuses work. The set bonuses that you get for wearing specific items, namely a couple of weapons and a hat in Team Fortress 2. Now, they said that they're not removing these bonuses because so many people have worked really hard to acquire the set pieces. They've traded, they've purchased items, and just getting rid of those bonuses would pretty much be a slap in the face for them. But they are addressing one of the main problems with the polycount set, and that is knowing whether or not the enemy that you're fighting has the set bonus, since some of the items required will be hidden from your view. So, actually, just let me quote Valve right here. We're not abandoning the bonuses outright. Instead, we're moving the gameplay bonuses to specific items within the sets, and introduce new bonuses to these sets that won't affect gameplay balance. So now you'll be able to tell just by looking at somebody whether or not they have a set bonus, and probably the best example is the Sniper's Polycount set. The Croco style set, I think it's called. You get the Crocodile Hat, the Darwin's Danger Shield, the Sydney Sleeper, and the Bushwhacker. So those are the items you get. Now looking at a sniper, you can't tell if he has the full set if you can't see his melee weapon because he needs the Bushwhacker for that set. So you may not shoot him in the head and instead shoot him in the body thinking that you're not going to get the headshot bonus damage, when in fact you could have actually shot him in the head and instantly killed him, and then he just turns around and ends up shooting you instead. So what they're going to do is they're going to make it so that probably that set bonus will apply to the Sydney Sleeper, the hat, and the Darwin's Danger Shield, and not the melee weapon, which will be great because then you look at a sniper and you can say, okay, he has the set. He has the set bonus. They're going to change this for other kits like the Milkman set for the Scout because you need the milk, the hat, and the shortstop for that. I don't know how they're going to change it since it's called the Milkman. Maybe you just need the hat and the gun now, or maybe they'll make milk appear somewhere on his body somewhere, like on his hip. I don't know, but they're going to do a lot of changes with those, which I think is a very positive thing to do because in a first-person shooter, things aren't really as overpowered as people think they are. It's just when something surprises you. And one thing TF2 has always done really well is that you tend to know exactly what's going on around you. The characters are profiled well, their weapons are profiled well. It's very easy to identify a heavy with a brass beast, a degreaser pyro, a Sydney Sleeper sniper, a scout with just a scattergun. It's really easy to identify those things. And the polycount sets they work against that. You think about something in Call of Duty, where Call of Duty, a lot of people think something's overpowered, but it's just because it catches you off guard. A guy might have flak jacket, a guy might have dexterity, he might have some kind of perk, or he has something up his sleeve that you didn't know he had because you couldn't identify it. Team Fortress 2, on the other hand, is really good about the identification, and them pushing the polycount set into that realm of identification is a very, very good thing. I'm very happy to see them do that. So there's apparently going to be a lot of big changes coming to Team Fortress 2 in the near future, and I'm going to keep you updated when Valve releases updates and everything else. When the update finally comes out, you'll see me go over everything. But really what I want to hear from you right now is, what do you think Valve needs to change? What do you want change? What do you think's overpowered, underpowered, needs rebalanced? What do you want to see? And I'm going to leave a little link in the description that goes to a place where you can tell Valve what you think, because they are taking community feedback on this. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt, and I'll see you next time.